Welcome to this week's Swarf and Chips. Coming up in the show this week, we will be discussing the pros and cons of automation with Fanuc's MD, Tom Bouchier. We'll be taking a look at an impressive 5-axis machining centre from Bavius, and you will not believe the accuracy and the power of this machine. Paul visits Metal Tech to see how 2 tooling companies have saved them so much money, amongst many other things. And finally, we will be learning about some new products from Ceratizit in Sheffield. This one's going to be a good education for you. Welcome to this week's Swarf and Chips. Companies out there like Amazon, like your major supermarkets, are all investing in automation. And I'm here with Tom, and we're going to discuss what are those other jobs that automation bring to the forefront, and the fact that you don't have to be a big major blue chip organisation to consider investing automation. So Tom, thank you so much for your time. Let's start from the beginning. Why should people invest in automation? How is that going to benefit their company in the long term?
I think we have to invest in automation to compete globally. I mean, it's a no-brainer. We have to do it. If other countries, other companies are investing in automation, you have to. And I also think the major companies are doing it, but to be part of their supply chain, you're going to have to feed at the same rate that they're growing, and you're not going to do that manually. You're going to have to use automation to be able to grow at the same rate as they're growing.
So you're telling me there's almost like an element of survival, really. If you invest, you're going to survive, and if you don't, potentially you're not going to.
You have to. I mean, I think I've said it before, you have to automate. The fear is not automating. The fear shouldn't be about automation. There is nothing scary about automation, but there is scary about not being able to meet those demands.
Tom, not to be too controversial, but I hope the audience could kind of agree with me, but robots, they're quite scary, in that sense of, as a person, as a human, we have this idea of robots taking over the world. It's not like that. But what I mean is, you don't want a robot to take your job away. You, as a person, we don't want to be irreplaceable. But you're telling me that investing in these robots are actually going to generate more jobs. Is that correct?
Yeah, 100%. There's a report come out from the RIA, the Robotics Institute of America, came out, is about the first half of last year. But the growth from 2010 to the first half of last year, America has seen a 20% increase in robots, 7.5% just in the first half of last year. But in that same period of time, they've also created 1.2 million more manufacturing jobs.
As a smaller company, just to finish off with, because actually there's a company in Leicester, and we found this, there's a company in Leicester that invested in their first idea of automation. They invested in the machine. Then 6 months later, they've invested again, and that's a fairly small company. So why should automation appeal to the smaller companies out there?
It's the smaller companies that genuinely need it. The larger companies can look after themselves. But if you are going to be able to supply on the numbers you're going to need to do now, you're going to have to automate. We can't be 30% an hour less productive than a German worker and hope to survive. If the German workers are using automation, we have to use automation.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Tom.
You're welcome.
And welcome to the show, gents.
Hi, Liz.
Yeah.
Good to see you. Are you well?
Yeah, all good. Yeah, I was a little bit poorly on that video, actually, so I sounded a bit nasally, like an airport.
I didn't notice.
You didn't notice. Let's get straight to it, right? Automation. As Tom says, it's the smaller companies that need to embrace this, because if we're costing per hour and we're going to then, end up costing more than other countries, our work is going to go elsewhere if we don't start considering different elements of automation, right?
I agree. An automation might mean a bar feeder. In Fanuc's case, it's a pick and place robot, or it can be any sort of robot. But it's great to hear from Tom. He's one of the thought leaders from within manufacturing. He's synonymous with automation due to the company he works, I guess. But you have to automate, whether it's now or if you're not doing it in 5 years' time. I think you might be in a bit of bother, to be honest.
Yeah, he's an ambassador of automation, isn't he? And we did a great podcast with Tom.
Really good podcast.
And so make sure you listen to that podcast. It's already out. But in regards to automation in the UK, you're totally right. In the past, some of the comments you've made, Joe. So you've always mentioned, low volume, mixed work. That is exactly the type of work that you need to automate, and that is the majority of work that in the UK we're all renowned for. But there's a massive misconception that if you're doing low volume work, you don't need to automate, but that's not the case.
And when we went out to Switzerland with a rower, that's what it is. It's flexible machining, flexible automation, and I think that's quite scary, but actually it's quite interesting when you start really speaking to the companies.
Personally, I think when I see SMEs, the ones that appear to be making the money are the ones who are automating low volume successfully. If it's 10,000 off, there's every chance that's disappeared for now. It may be reshored, we don't know. But high volume has tend to disappear.
Yeah.
But low volume, high repetition, that's where we seem to be here in the UK.
I think both. I think there's high volume batches out there, but there's also low volume batches. So, for example, the automotive industry, you'd never dream of making a car without automation. You'd never dream of it because you'd never be able to sell that product competitively. So you need to automate to keep the costs down, run 24/7. Low volume work now, is probably the core of what we do in the UK, and there is innovations out there available now that enables you to be able to automate it. But maybe in the past, them innovations were not there.
Exactly,
we're not there, and we're there now.
We're not in the top 50 in the world for robot adoption yet,
No.
so
which
isn't ideal for.
Right. Anyway, we've got to move on. So I think I'm sold on automation now. Don't forget, we have an awesome video about saving, we're talking mega money on your tooling a little bit later on. But let's head over to the Engineering Technology Group where Paul is taking a look at a horizontal 5-axis machine from Bavius.
So at the Engineering Technology Group, I'm with Graham Thomas. We're going to be talking about a universal 5-axis machine. And when I say universal, I mean for the market where this machine would fit. Now, this is a Bavius, Graham. It looks quite a beast of a machine, doesn't it? Why is it so universal? What makes it a universal 5-axis machine to fit into different markets?
Well, what we try to do with this 5-axis machine here on the spindle arrangement, the setup of the machine, is we want to try and make it a cross-material machine. So it can do a very, very good high level of aluminium machining, steels and titanium. So for the general subcontract market, it's an ideal machine platform, horizontal approach, ideal for high metal removal rates and getting swarf out of the machine as quickly as possible.
What difference does having that horizontal spindle make to the machining within the envelope of the machine?
Well, generally we see it is certainly from an aerospace perspective, although we're very, very well known for the Chiron brand as well being vertical, the horizontal actually gives a lot more people approach for higher metal removal rates. And as I say, that swarf removal is very, very important to be able to not remachine that within the component.
Yeah, and it looks like a massive table. I'm sure you can get a lot of weight on there, can you?
Yeah, well, you certainly tried it, Paul. So that certainly we can say that it's
an endorsement for the machine in itself.
Yes, but obviously within the range of this machine that we're selling on here with the 800 table and the high payload and the high acceleration rates, we think this is going to be an ideal machine for a UK customer, and we really challenge customers to come to us, see the machine up front and personal, and then I'm sure we'll get a lot more interest on this machine.
I was quite surprised actually to hear the commercials on it and the price of this particular machine at the moment. If you're looking as a subcontractor, it does fit perfectly into that price bracket as well. So it would be good to talk to the Engineering Technology Group about it. It comes equipped with a Heidenheim control, which everybody knows.
Yeah, the TNC 640, great control. As I say, from a general subcontract market, they can be able to use their interface on this very, very easily. It can obviously complement with customers' CAD/CAM package as well. But everybody knows this control. It's a great layout. We've got spindle monitoring system on here as well. So everything regarding the spindle interface is all guarded through here for vibration and temperature.
Good stuff. Pretty sophisticated piece of kit. Bavius here from the Engineering Technology Group.
Gio, I remember at one of the previous shows or something that you talking about Bavius machines and literally cutting through some metals like butter.
Absolutely. I think that when you look at a machine like that, there's so many different elements of that machine and the reasons why you'd want to invest in a machine like that. So when you're looking at a machine like that, what benefits do you get from that? It's got a very high kilowatt power spindle, and it's for cutting them harder materials like butter.
Yeah.
But then you get, if you were doing that on a less kilowatt power machine, you wouldn't get the longevity out of the machine tool. But having that power, not only do you cut the parts or hard parts faster, because you've got that power, it gives you the longevity of the machine. We were touching the sides of the machine, weren't we, Joe, whilst it was cutting? And you couldn't even feel it cutting.
Really.
There was no vibration whatsoever.
It's an incredible machine.
Yeah. Do people know about Bavius? The name, the brand?
I'm not sure. The people that are onto wear Bavius, obviously, is Hartman of years gone by. It's been renamed. Supplied by the Engineering Technology Group here in the UK. But that machine, you mentioned the spindle, that's quite often when you get, over 60 kilowatts within the spindle, quite often you have to neglect the RPM. It's actually, I think it's a 15,000 RPM spindle. Wow. So what that lends itself to, it's not an aluminium machine, it's not necessarily for titanium, it's for all materials, isn't it?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think Graham mentioned it's a machine that almost transcends material. Yeah. So what I like about it in particular, it's a horizontal fashion. There's probably not enough horizontal 5-axis machines.
Solid machine.
The way gravity's on your side, all the swarf drops to the bottom. So if you're doing aluminium, aerospace alloys where there's pocketing, it's just a perfect machine.
It's a metal removal beast.
Yeah,
and I think
we should just leave it there.
And it's got double drive on the trunnion. It's obviously support from both sides. It's got double drive technology, so it's super rigid on the table
there
as well.
There you go. Get in touch with
Great
so make sure you get in touch with the Engineering Technology Group if you're interested. Right, coming up next, we head to Metal Tech to discuss cutting tools and cost reductions within their machining processes.
So I'm at Metal Tech Precision here on the south coast. I'm with Mick Bignell. We're going to be talking specifically now about tool life and improvements that can be made. Now, this company's recently invested in a Spinner U620 5-axis machine, which is behind us. But with working in conjunction with MA Ford, Whitehouse Machine Tools, produced a turnkey which included using this solid coated carbide 16mm end mill. Now, Mick, just very briefly talk us through the part here and what this is.
Well, this is a pump housing for a rotary lobe food pump. So now we're using a 16mm end mill for roughing the outside of the rotor case, all around the ports. We rough the inside of the pumping chamber, and we then use the same cutter for finishing, a new one, a long one, and that finishes all the outside, all of the inside, achieving all the tolerances and the 0.8 surface finish that's required.
Okay, now what we'll do is over the top of the screen we'll put a picture of the original, well, it's a forging, isn't it, that it comes out of? Yeah. So you'll be able to see the amount of metal that's going to be removed. But what the key to this is, Mick, is how many tools were you using previously? Now when you think you're just using 2 of these?
Well, we was using probably 5 tools on 2 different operations. So, we're doing this in one operation with 2 tools rather than 2 operations with 5 tools.
Because there's the interpolating as well, which is done on these diameters where you would have had to have used turning inserts on a turning centre.
Yeah, we're now using horn tooling for producing this with a form insert. So it's all produced. We use form tools for the cutters, so we're reducing the amount of cutters we're using.
Now the key to this as well is the fact that 22 of these have been made with 2 of these cutters, and one for finishing and one for roughing. 22 parts. When you think how many inserts you would have had to have used before.
Exactly, yeah, it's phenomenal. So it really is going to save us a lot of consumables and cost.
And not to mention it's a stainless material, so it's a tough material. Yeah. So this is an idea of what you can achieve as a turnkey project when you're looking at something like this with a 5-axis machine and quality tooling. Thanks, Mick.
Yeah, thank you.
Joe, it sounds like they're really impressed with the tools.
Yeah, they've had a good experience with Whitehouse Machine Tools, haven't they? Obviously, the Spinner machine we've seen before, they love that 5-axis. But yeah, they've done what more companies are switching on to productivity now. Gone are the days where you can use old, tooling, old strategies. But they've done some trochoidal milling, and they've saved big, haven't they?
Yeah, well, just on both sides, the machining time and then the tool and the amount of parts that they're creating on one.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing. People have got this perception wrongly. The quicker I run my tools, the quicker my cycle time, I'm going to lose the life of the tool. That's not always the case. In fact, it's very rarely the case. And these guys, the parts come off quicker. And you're getting increased tool life, which essentially means the part's obviously cheaper. But there's MA Ford on the solid carbide front, and obviously that special groove and insert from the guys from Horn.
They're always south. Evolving, aren't they? The tooling companies. I mean, I know the next video you'll see it in as well, but
you have to, don't you? You have to. It's a lot of cutting tools, but dare I say, are very similar to their competition. So it is about that extra 10-15% and the support. The way you apply the cutting tool is very, very important.
I think this really illustrates collaboration between experts in the machine tool and experts in the cutting tool, so they've come together to get a very excellent solution, reducing operations and reducing the amount of tools that are required to manufacture that part. It's just expertise and passing that expertise on to the client.
Be a good cycle time challenge if we had one.
Yeah, it would actually. There you go, for the future. Right, what are your thoughts? Do you think, have you improved your machining strategy? We'd love to hear from you. We really would. So if you've got any comments or anything, please put them in the comments box below or get in touch with us. It's not a problem. And you too could be featured on the show as well. Right, staying on the topic, as I said, of cutting tools, last week Mark took the long drive, well, he lives in Kent, so it is a long drive, to Sheffield to see what's new at Ceratizit.
Lyndsey, I've made the trip up north. I'm here in Sheffield with Tony Pennington, the MD of Ceratizit UK and Ireland. Now, Tony, great innovators of tooling products, but they've got 100,000 products in their portfolio. 60,000 of those, you can get them delivered the next day. Now, Tony, new update, new products. Tell me a little bit about what you got.
Yes, Mark. Obviously, as you say, 100,000 products across the range, 60,000 ex-stock for next day delivery. And what we do is twice per year we generate an up-to-date brochure with all our latest products and innovations. So this is our latest products release for January.
And give me a little bit of a feel for a couple of new products in there, Tony.
There's several key main products. Multi-lock, which is an exchangeable head system, very cost-effective tool for customers to use rather than paying for the full carbide tool, just paying for the head on the carbide. You've then got a very exciting new turning grade, CTPX 710, which is a universal grade for customers to use. Rather than having a grade for every material, they can use it across stainless steel, other materials. So it's a universal product, very useful for people keeping stock down.
So basically what you're saying is that you're not having different setups with different tools then?
Correct. So if you want, rather than investing across a big range of products, you can invest in the one grade and apply it across all materials for that.
And when you look at one of your best-selling products, Silverline, now I've seen this in the marketplace, a lot of engineers love it, but you've improved it.
Silverline, as you say, Mark, is our absolute best-selling solid carbide tool. Customers absolutely love it from a performance point of view and a cost point of view ratio, and we've improved it drastically. We've done tests here in Sheffield, and we've improved performance, 60% improvement on titanium and stainless steel, 50% on steel in real life tests here on this XYZ machine.
That's incredible. I mean, obviously, when you have a very good selling product like Silverline, to improve it that much, how do you do it?
We've done it in many ways. It's not just one thing. The dragon skin coating that we've applied, which is unique to ourselves, is one part of it. We've enhanced the core of the tool to improve the strength and give a more clearance for the flutes. So it's not just one area. There's 2 or 3 different things that have come together that have given us that enhanced performance.
Fantastic. Well, there you go, guys. Hot off the press. Update to at Ceratizit UK and Ireland. If you want one of these, either speak to your Ceratizit representative or call Ceratizit in Sheffield and you get a copy.
I mean, to make improvements to an already strong product line.
Incredible, 100,000 products, 60,000 available next day. Doesn't seem possible, does it?
Well, different applications. They're specific in what they do, aren't they? They're professionals.
Particular interest that multi-lock system where you've got what I call a piece of material that goes in the back end. Basically, it's a modular screw-on system. I think they're great. They're great. You can have obviously the traditional end mill, the high feed. There's a deburring tool. There's a torus cutter, and essentially you're taking the tool holder out. You don't even have to preset it. Once you've preset it the first time, you don't need to preset it.
Creates a bit of a modular aspect, doesn't it, with your tooling? Sorry, Lyndsey.
No. I was going to say we saw the advertisement for Ceratizit on the back of the magazine. We brought the magazine out just a couple of weeks ago or something now, and so just on the back it's all advertised there. So.
Have you done the spot the difference?
I know I've done the spot the difference, right? I can only find 8. I'm really struggling. It's on a Citizen and I can't find it.
There is 10 there, I promise you.
Is there?
10 there, yeah.
There is. I can't do it. There's your challenge, everyone, to do the spot the difference.
But yeah, no, You've put me off now.
Oh,
But,
I'm sorry.
Ceratizit, the name's synonymous. We all know who they are now, Ceratizit. But the range keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and most of it's available next day. Incredible.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. With
Yeah.
that amount of stock.
Yeah, but things are happening so quickly. Sorry, Gio, we
Yeah,
keep
yeah.
interrupting each other, but things are happening so quickly. They just need the stock. You can't have a machine down because you've got problem with
And
the tool.
I like the end mill as well, that can be used. It's your go-to end mill, if you like. If you're kind of in trouble, we'll use that end mill and it'll cut most materials.
Just does everything.
And the new grade, the CPX 710. It's for most materials, so it's worth looking at.
Yeah,
Big
definitely.
company.
Right, well, thanks, gents, and thank you everybody for watching
you.
this week's Swarf and Chips. As we always say, don't forget to like, comment on the show, share the show, ask us questions about the show. We're not shy or anything like that, and make sure you're subscribing to the channel. And at the end of every show, we always say, keep those spindles turning.